Hi, and welcome to the Huachuca Art Gallery here in Sierra Vista. We're located at 1835 Paseo San Luis.
And we're going to do another episode of Huachuca Creatives.
Yes, we are.
This is our second one.
It is.
Second one in this format.
Yes.
And we got a special show this time.
We do.
Why?
Because I'm going to be interviewing none other than Arizona Yeti.
Ta-da! No! All right.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. So I'm going to have to switch this hat around and go from co-host to, that artistic look.
Yes.
No, that's not going to work like that. Sorry, folks.
Oh,
okay.
Shucks.
But before we even get into that interview, we have some gift ideas to talk about for the month of June.
We have Father's Day coming up and graduation day, as well as Bring Your Dog to Work Month. We have this beautiful painting done by Holly Freeze. We thought it would remind people that they can bring, if they can't bring their pet, they could bring a beautiful photo or a painting of their dog or cat.
Yeah, hang it on your office wall. Bring it. Just say, that's my dog. There you go. What else do we have here?
Well, for Father's Day, what father does not love the Old West? This is actually a photo from our very own Sean Yeterian.
It's called Doc's Watch, and the character there, his nickname is Doc. His real name is Corey Allen, who's standing on Allen Street, and he plays the role of, guess who? Doc Holliday, that's right. And so I've named this piece Doc's Watch.
And he actually had a little bit of help from the forces of nature when he went to take this picture, because the wind kicked up and it started blowing all this dust, which created that wonderful backdrop.
So it is awesome. Yeah, it's one of those fortuitous moments. We have other gift ideas for Father's Day as well.
We do. For Father's Day or graduation, you have your first apartment. Who doesn't want a nice coffee mug?
All dads need coffee to start the day. And now that you've graduated from high school, you're probably going to want to start drinking a lot of coffee too. I'm sure of it. And what else?
We have a chip and dip bowl. What graduate wouldn't want to celebrate their first apartment with having their friends over, serving chips and dip? Or for the father who wants to have his buddy over for a ball game.
And then we have this rock and roll piece that just screams dad. What guy doesn't want to have a skull on their desk at work?
And this
very intimidating.
Yes, and this is actually done by one of our featured artists, Callie Ryan.
Well, we have a featured artist display again this month.
Yes, we do.
And Callie is one of those two featured artists.
Yes, she is our table artist as well as a co-wall artist. She does acrylic painting as well as all of these wonderful skulls and painted rocks and things.
And the other featured artist's name is Richard Milligan. He's a photographer. So he's also into golden hour shots, as you can plainly see, just like yours truly. And he has a wonderful collection of photographs. So they're going to have a reception, right?
Yes, they'll have the reception this coming Saturday, I believe.
This coming Saturday.
From 3 to 5.
3 to 5, and there'll be refreshments, and you'll get to meet these two marvelous artists. Both of them are new to the gallery, too.
Callie's been here for a little while, but I think this is her first featured artist.
Okay.
So come give her support, both of them.
Well, now it's time to change gears, where I become no longer your co-host, but your guest.
Yes.
So what do you want to talk about?
I have been approached by many people. I have talked to many people, actually, and they're like, oh, I'm not an artist. I just take pictures. So, Sean, what is your opinion of that? Do you feel that photography is an art form?
I had to grapple with that for a long time after I picked up photography, because I also had to ask myself that question. What gives me the right to have my imagery on these hallowed walls next to oil painters and sculptors and potters and jewelers who really take a lot of effort in order to create their pieces? All I have to do is make some camera settings and press a button, and boom, there it is. So what makes me an artist? And I actually heeded the words of a friend of mine who is also a photographer, and he told me, Sean, because I was looking for a camera, and I was asking for his advice, and he said, Sean, it doesn't matter what kind of camera you get. What matters most is the person behind the camera and how you approach your shots. That's when I started to realize that this is more than just about snapping a shutter button and making some adjustments. So I learned very rapidly that people were embracing my work as much for the imagery as for the presentation. And the presentation is where the artist's heart resides.
Okay. And when you're out taking your photography, you also have co-conspirators.
I do?
You do.
Who?
I believe I've heard of stories about Cam and Smadge.
Smadge. Cam is my camera's name, and he's a grouchy old fart. And very much like my personality can be from time to time. Smadge, on the other hand, she's a sweetheart. That's my Subaru. And her personality, amazingly enough, closely resembles my wife's. So she gives me a lot of good advice as far as places to go, obviously, because she's the one who's taking me there. And also maybe some different approaches to framing and composition. And we have some very, very good conversations.
That's good. Now, on your technique, how do you decide you want to frame a shot?
You know, there's a couple of that's not an easy question, Teresa. You're asking some hard questions here.
I know, Sean. I'm not going to make it easy on you.
Yeah, I got to say that it's a little bit of learned things using graphic design, understanding the basic laws or rules like rule of thirds or depth perception or leading lines and these sorts of things, understanding it, but it's also very important to trust your gut. Because as my friend said, it's a person behind the camera. A leading line or a rule of thirds may not apply to what your gut is telling you. And when you're standing there in the glow of a magenta, red, orange, and blue golden hour, sometimes you need something a little bit different than that. So it's just trusting yourself and trusting how you can approach the shot. So it's a little bit of both. Yes, sometimes I seek out that rule of third or that leading lines, but sometimes I'll just snap the shot because my gut or that spirit inside of me asks me to. And you know what? It served me pretty well.
You have to listen to your heart, what it's saying. If it's telling you that's the shot, then you have to listen.
You have no choice at that point. Yep.
That's right. Okay. Many of your shots, I have noticed, Sean, you take up paths and roadways and things like that. What draws you to that particular kind of subject?
Because they are, to me, they're metaphors for life. A path is a metaphor for the journey that we're all on, whether it's leading into a beautiful expanse towards the mountains or into a sunrise or a sunset. That idea of having something that we're all connected to, which is the idea of a journey through life, is very compelling in my photography. Same thing with barbed wire. Though it may not seem like it should, a barbed wire fence that narrows its gap as it goes into the distance is also, to me, very symbolic of moving forward and seeing things into the distance in a way that we try and achieve our goals. And that is leading us more or less to our goals. So it's metaphoric.
So when you're taking a photo, do you have any problem whatsoever when you're deciding how to frame it, getting that sense of depth into your photos?
The beauty of digital photography today is that we have memory cards. And those memory cards, my memory card, will allow me to take 10,000 photographs in a session. Now, I'm not going to take 10,000 photographs. I mean, you got to go through those too after you download them. But what this means is that you no longer have to hesitate if you want to take a shot, readjust, take another shot. Oh, that's too low. So get higher, take another shot. Oh, come back over here, get on your tiptoes. Whatever you need to do, you can take shot after shot after shot and then not worry about it until you get to the download part and you see what you just did and you say, well, what feels the best? Maybe they all feel great. Maybe only one feels great. Maybe none of them work out for you, but that's the way it goes. But we have the opportunity these days to be able to take as many shots as we want. So I have no reservations about taking lousy shots. I take a lot of lousy shots.
You get redos.
But I get to take even more shots,
Right.
many of which turn out to be pretty nice. So you can adjust.
It's a lot
As you go.
easier doing digital, isn't it, Sean, than doing film? Because you can see on the screen kind of if it's what you're wanting.
You can do that.
And it allows you to retake it if it's not exactly what you want.
Absolutely. You can do that.
Now, when you are, when you're editing your photos.
Yes.
How do you decide what to keep natural and what you want to enhance slightly?
See, this is really a purist will tell you that what comes out of the camera is what it should be. You shouldn't do anything else. And I say to the purist, yay for you. I think that's fine. I appreciate your point of view. But even before it comes out of the camera, you have to make adjustments. You put a filter on the lens or you make ISO adjustments. There's all kinds of things you can do to include the amount of exposure you want. You can overexpose it intentionally. You can underexpose it intentionally. So you're doing these adjustments anyhow before that shot ever comes out of the camera. I am a proud user of Photoshop. I use Photoshop to do my editing. And so when I'm looking at an image, what do I want to do? I would like for it to emote. In other words, I would like the viewer to have the same sensation of being there that I had when I stood there hitting that silly little button on top of the camera so that they can feel what I felt and see what I saw in the way that I saw it. And I do this by looking at the areas that drew my attention the most. I'll use radial gradients. I'll use horizontal gradients. I will maybe add a little bit more contrast, or maybe I'll sharpen an area. But what the main goal is to take the viewer's eyes to the places that I consider to be the most important of the entire image. And that may just be a small spot in the center where I focus greater and everything else maybe becomes a little darker, a little bit less contrasty, or a little bit fuzzier. But their eyes are naturally going to go to those spots. And then I'll let them decide on what kind of perceptions that they want to achieve with that frozen moment in time.
Now, when you take a photo, does it give you a sense of what you felt in that moment when you see that photo?
Not initially, because I shoot in a format called RAW. R-A-W, it doesn't mean anything. It's not an acronym. As a matter of fact, if you try and research what its origins, you won't find anything. It's just what it is, RAW in capital letters. But when you shoot in that format, which is 4 or 5 times larger the size of a file in JPEG, which is what a lot of people shoot in,
Right.
then it demands, because it's taking more or less an average of all of the elements it just took a picture of, it demands that you're going to do some sort of post-processing so that you can bring out all of the details that it captured, but you can't see that out of the camera. When I download my images out of the camera, they're kind of, they don't have the luster, they don't have the excitement, they don't have the feel, that emotion that I'm trying to do. So absolutely, I will take advantage of that file size and use it to my benefit in order to bring that image out the way I want it.
And that's how you decide, Sean, how you want to add color or highlights or something to a particular area.
Absolutely, and it's hit and miss, Teresa. I'll tell you, sometimes I'll be toying with some adjustments, and I'll even get to the point where I think, okay, that's it. And then when I come back to it, I'll say, oh my God, what was I thinking? Oh, geez, that's oversaturated, or oh, way too much contrast, or oh, wow, you sharpened that to look unreal. And then I will start over again and take a different approach. And that's where I think the artistic flair, the artistic mind comes into play.
I know art painters, they do that with their paintings. They'll just keep playing with it until they get it to perfection the way they want it, with the color and the light. And it's that way with photography too. Absolutely.
And the perfection has to reside within yourself, not through the eyes of others. And that's what I had to teach myself as well. It isn't so much how other people judge my work, it's how I judge my own work. And if I'm comfortable with it, I think that is the most important thing.
You have to follow your vision, Sean,
Right.
that you have for that particular shot, and don't try to make it how you think someone else will view it.
Absolutely, yes. Well said.
Okay. Now, whenever you look at a photo, does it change the way you see the world at times?
Well, yes. I came up with my own mantra to help me grow in this craft. And that is, the most beautiful place in the world is right there where you are. And I'm not saying that I'm a master of that philosophy, but that is the goal that I have for myself, is to learn how to be present and to look around no matter where I happen to be and find that element of beauty that exists right in front of me, and hopefully have my camera available to snap a shot of it. It's everywhere you go. It's every step that you take. It's every breath that you take. It's available. It's there. And I'm still trying to train myself how to be able to capture that feeling, that understanding more efficiently. Because sometimes I'll be standing in the middle of an open field that just looks raggedy and nasty and say, all right, where's the beauty here, Sean? I don't see no beauty. And then all of a sudden, it pops right in front. It jumps out, and I take the picture, and yeah, it's gorgeous. So
as we all know, you just have to look, because beauty is everywhere. You just have to find that little piece.
Absolutely.
Now, in this day and age, there is so much about AI.
Ooh, the elephant in the room.
Yes. It is so hard sometimes to determine what is AI developed and what is natural. Do you have any words of wisdom on that?
Well, I can share my own experience with that, because Doc Swatch, that picture of Corey Allen, in the middle of Allen Street, there's an example of me being accused of using AI-generated imagery in order to take that picture.
Oh.
And it isn't so, but you know what? For the people who scrutinize whether or not an image is real or if it's generated by AI, I encourage them to never stop. We're in that day and age where you have to doubt everything because AI has integrated itself into every aspect of our lives.
Yes.
And it's not just photography, it's music, it's film these days, it's painting, it's anything you can think of, it's creative writing. AI has planted itself firmly into our existence as an alternative to actual people doing the work. But there's a hard line that I draw. You see, if you're using AI in order to garner inspiration or as a tool to be able to help you understand different approaches, different ways of doing things, I congratulate you for that. That's great because it's capable of helping you with these things. But the moment you tell that AI system, I want you to do a picture of beautiful sunset over the Huachuca Mountains, please. And it does an image that you never captured yourself, and then you turn around and you go, I did that, and you stamp your name to it, I think you've crossed a line. I think that is an ethical dilemma that no one should ever cross. And I think that these people who make the accusations of AI-generated imagery, holding these kinds of people accountable for this digital plagiarism, I think that's important these days. Don't tell me you did something that you didn't do. Right. That's a lie.
Have you ever had to show proof, say one of your unedited photos, for instance, that was indeed your photo?
I did on one occasion. It's been a while ago, but yes, that has happened before, where I had to show the raw image, the RAW image, to show that there is no manipulation here other than me using Photoshop in order to accentuate certain items in here. And they came back and they apologized. And that's my next point. And I think this is probably important for those who are jaded and wish to hold artists accountable for using AI to do their work for them. I think that's right. But the moment that you realize that your accusation is faulty, the moment it's been shown to you that that artist really did do that work, as vehemently as you broadcast your anger towards them and accusatory tone, please allow the human artist their day in the sun, and just as loudly as you accuse them, loudly apologize for having accused them. Take responsibility for your own behavior and make sure that these wonderfully talented people who do this stuff remarkably, that they get the credit for what they've done. And it's going to get harder. It'll be more difficult in the future. AI is improving. It's getting better every single minute, not just every day, every minute. New scripts are being written into their algorithms that allow them to do things that you know what, I didn't think I would live long enough to see this day happen. But it's happening, Teresa.
Yes. Sean, is there any words of encouragement in this day and age with all the AI and the filters and everything that you can give to young photographers starting out?
Photographers, artists, it doesn't matter. Anybody who wants to express their spirit courageously so that many other people can see it, don't stop. I mean, I just did a rant on AI, but that sounded very negative, didn't it? Let me say that if we need for those of you who wish to express yourselves artistically, not to stop just because AI came along. As a matter of fact, work harder, become better than the AI so that people can't question you. So you become the master of your craft, and just don't stop whatever you do. As a matter of fact, if you haven't started, get started, because the only way that we're going to be able to identify humanity from artificial intelligence is by the work that artists like those that we have here and artists that are still trying to learn their craft make themselves known. And that's the advice I would give them.
And I think also, whenever you get words of discouragement, never let it stop you. If you have this passion for photography or painting or sculpting, whatever your craft may be, don't let negativity from one person stop you. Take that, put it into your next piece, improve, don't ever stop. It's important.
Beautifully said, Teresa, and I couldn't agree more.
Keep going according to your heart. Don't let someone's discouragement stop you.
Earlier today, there was a young lady walk through with her mother, and she is a young artist. I don't know how old she was. I would say no more than 10 or 11 years old, though. And she was preparing to give a class on art. We're talking about a child who is preparing to give a class here in our gallery on her way of doing art. And there are people signing up for it. And I think that is the beauty of having the privilege of existing on this planet, to be able to meet and see people with that much spirit, that much passion for what they do, even at a very young age. And I don't think she's going to allow AI to get in her way.
Good. Now, one thing, whenever you get up and you think, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to go take pictures, what draws you out and gets you excited about going and taking a picture that day?
Oh, it's a combination of a lot of things. One, it's an addiction. My photography is not just a passion, it's part of my DNA now. It's just, it is, in a sense, the description of me. But that's not all of it, because there are a lot of days, and the older I get, it seems like those days stack more and more, you know. But, you know, I never intended for the Arizonan Yeti page to grow over 12,000 followers worldwide. I never intended to have people come back and tell me that they love my narratives, as an example, because the narratives are a huge part of what I do. Whether it's stream of consciousness poetry, whether it's a class on how I did a certain thing, whether it's a conversation with Smadge or a conversation with Cam, those narratives are integral, and they create a synergy between the bait, which is the image, and then the narratives become the hook, because now they not only want to see what I've taken a picture of, they want to hear or read what I've written about. But what that has created over time is this whole idea that people, they've become as addicted to my photography and my writings as I have become addicted to doing it in the first place. And so the feedback just keeps me, in a way, obligated. I know that they want for me to continue, and I feel a sense of obligation to find something inspiring that might lift their day.
So I'm thinking that since the bug bit you so hard, Sean, that there's no way anything's going to stop you from taking photos.
No, you know, I'm about ready to take a trip here day after tomorrow to San Antonio, Texas. And of course, Smadge will be my carriage, and Cam will be my sidekick. And of course, I'm going to be taking pictures all along the route there and all along the route back after my military reunion that I'll be attending. And now it's time for me to continue to learn and grow with that motto that I use, that the most beautiful place in the world is right there where you are, because I'm going to be going quite a distance. And all of those points in between, I have to prove to myself, are in fact the most beautiful place in the world.
Well said. Why do you feel, as a closing statement, that photography is important in the world today?
You know, photography, I think, will always be with us. And the reason why is because it's a moment that is frozen in time. It's not a film where you have a starting point and an end point, and you have pans and you have beautiful stuff in film, but this is frozen. And what does a frozen image expect of the viewer? It expects, or hopes at least, that the viewer writes their own story when they become immersed in that image. I don't need to tell them what the photograph is about. This frozen moment in time allows for them to write their own narratives, to tell their own stories based on their own perspectives. So if you want that to be a lake, let it be a lake. As an example, right here, this image, which is my most popular image, has sold more copies than any other image before. If you look at the reflection, many people say, I didn't know there was a lake out there. And I'm happy that they see a lake, but guess what? It's a water basin at the bottom of a windmill at sunrise on Brown Canyon Ranch near Hereford, Arizona.
That is an incredible image that you captured there with the reflection of that tree and the Brown Canyon Ranch house.
So when someone looks at this, though, this frozen moment in time during that sunrise, they draft their own narrative. They decide what they're looking at. And that's why photography, in any form, it doesn't matter how good or not, allows our imaginations to create the stories we want to have. And it's based on our own journeys in life.
So in closing our interview here, is there any other special words of wisdom you can share with a new photographer or an old photographer that's kind of wavering?
I would say that one of the hardest things for any artist to do, whether a photographer or a painter, is to find find that niche that describes your spirit, not Ansel Adams or somebody else, another photographer, Minor White. Yeah, learn about other people's work, absolutely, so that you have a foundation to learn from, but find your own niche that describes who you are. And it may be a lengthy journey, or you may find it right away, but the moment you find that niche, people will recognize your work without ever seeing your name attached to it. Fortunately, I've found that over the last 8 years I've been doing this, where they'll see an Arizonan Yeti photograph and without ever seeing the card say, Sean Yeterian took that picture.
I have witnessed that myself.
So that's the advice I would be to chase that dream. And it is achievable. If I can achieve it as a retired Army Sergeant Major from the Field Artillery, I think anybody on the planet can achieve that.
And that goes for any style of artist. Work towards your dream.
Absolutely.
Never stop.
Oh, God. Wow. Oh, I'm exhausted, Teresa. You took it all out of me.
Well, I think you were full of lots of information, and I hope it helps somebody out there.
Well, I guess we're going to have to bring this show to a close.
I guess so. We want to remind you if you drop by the gallery, please sign our guest book. it'll get you on our email list so that you'll get the copies of our artifacts. And within that artifacts is a list of all of our upcoming shows and our workshops and demos and classes, so they're very informative.
Classes, speaking of classes, it seems only appropriate that I should let you know that sometime in August, probably the latter part of August, I will personally be giving a class on artistic approaches to photography. There'll be a limit of 20 people, more information to follow. So if you're interested in attending that class, keep close tabs on what's happening on our website. And also, if you want a copy of the artifacts, because it will be in the artifacts as soon as it's been announced officially, come in here, sign that guest book, and make sure you get that copy every month in your email. All right.
Well, thank you, Sean, for playing interviewee.
And thank you, Teresa, for some tough questions. Some of them were challenging.
It was very fun. Enjoyed it.
Well, hopefully you'll be back next month for another episode of Huachuca Creatives. And we haven't quite decided exactly what we're going to do with that yet. But if you have ideas of episodes and ideas that you would like to see us bring to your attention, please let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely.
And we obviously are always looking for good ideas. Well, Teresa, I think we're going to have to bring an end to this.
I think so.
Thanks a lot, folks. We'll see you next month.
Take care.